This is Jennifer Wassum, and I'm a product manager at Caringo. Today, I'll be introducing you to Feeds, a new feature now available in the CAStor 6.5 release. Hopefully, you're already familiar with the ease of managing a local CAStor object storage cluster. With built-in self-healing features and no single points of failure, CAStor's symmetric architecture is both simple and scalable out of the box. As we know, though, some of the more challenging tasks facing companies today extend beyond simply storing data in a single data center. Companies need to leverage the power of that data with global 24/7 access even in the event of an outage or disaster. Feeds address these challenging needs in an easy-to-use way that's native to CAStor. As you might guess from the name, a feed is basically a published channel of cluster data that is sent to a remote target. Currently, CAStor supports sending feed data to either a remote CAStor cluster for remote replication or an Elasticsearch server for metadata indexing. With feeds, a source cluster can process all content IDs and names stored in the cluster based on your feed configurations. As new content is added or existing content updated in the cluster, CAStor adds the unique IDs and names to the configured feed queues and keeps track of whether or not they've been received by the remote cluster or Elasticsearch server. This simple mechanism supports simple DR topologies, like a primary cluster in Singapore that feeds cluster data to a disaster recovery cluster in Utah. Feeds also support more complex topologies, like a satellite office in Moscow that feeds data into the primary cluster, or two branch offices in New York and Buenos Aires that feed data to each other in a mirrored configuration, while also protecting all data in the same DR cluster in Utah that protects the primary Singapore cluster. Feeds also keeps the metadata index up to date with each object added or updated in the cluster, giving enterprises increased visibility into the type of data in their cluster to better leverage the power of that data. Configuring feeds as a CAStor administrator is extremely easy from the CAStor admin console. Just select whether you are configuring an indexing or replication feed, and then provide a name for the feed and information to identify the remote cluster or indexing server. As soon as the feed information is configured, CAStor will start sending existing data to the remote target specified in the feed and continue to send additional data as it is added to the cluster. For ease of management, you can also view the progress for each configured feed from the admin console. The feed reporting page includes a high-level status for each feed and the number of objects already processed and pending processing. Any issues with feed progress, such as network connectivity issues to the remote target, will be prominently featured on this page. As with all Caringo object storage products, please reference the product documentation for complete information. For feeds, additional information can be found in the CAStor Administration Guide. Should you have any questions about feeds or any other Caringo object storage features, please feel free to contact your sales or support representative.